Hi, this is Eric Smith. Time to do another quick look video, and I thought I would do it from 1 Chronicles chapter 14, verse 17, and the Word of God reads this way. Then the fame of David went out into all lands, and the Lord brought the fear of him upon all nations. In 1 Chronicles chapter 14, you see that David is established in Jerusalem as the king. And from verses 8 to this verse right here, verse 17, you see the account of David going against the Philistines and defeating them. You see the same account in 2 Samuel 5, verses 17 through 23. In fact, if you read that account, it almost reads the same exact way. The only thing that is different is verse 17 that I just read. And it reads again, Then the fame of David went out into all lands. So what David did against the Philistines and the fact that he was king, that fame went out to all the lands outside of Israel. They understood that David was king and that he was also a man of war and he was a conqueror. So his fame rose. Everybody knew about it. But the second part of the verse is very interesting. It says, And the Lord brought the fear of him, and that would be David, upon all nations. Notice it was the Lord, because of David's fame, brought the fear of David upon all nations, that the nations would fear David, and in effect even fear the Lord. So you see that even though King David went up against the Philistines, it wasn't by his might or his power. It was because God was with him and God gave him the victory. And because God gave him the victory and the prominence in his position, that God brought the fear of David upon all the nations. Dear Christian, even today, as believers in Jesus Christ, if God puts you in a position of prominence, of power, where you're the leader, whether it's at your job or at school or the government or even in your ministry, particularly as a pastor, understand something. It is God that put you there. It is God that is going to put the fear of you in someone's heart. Now, today, we wouldn't want someone to fear us the way the nations feared David because David was a conqueror. But at the same time today, as Christians, God can put us in different positions for his purposes. And that's the point. God doesn't do things just for our benefit. He does it for his purposes. King David was the king and the conqueror for God's purposes to glorify God. Even today, as Christians, whether we're in the ministry or we have a good testimony at our job, or we have a good testimony at whatever school we're going to, or even if we have a good testimony in our neighborhood, God is always putting us there for his purposes. And just like David's fame rose, we can actually have some prominence and some fame as well. We can't take that for granted, and we can't pat ourselves on the back or think it's us. We have to understand we can do nothing without the Lord. So this is First Chronicles chapter 14, verse 17. I just wanted to do a quick look to remind you, Christian, that God is in sovereign control of the believer. He was in sovereign control of King David, and he's still in sovereign control of you as well. It doesn't mean you don't make decisions, and it doesn't mean that God doesn't use you and you don't work for God, but it's always for his glory. As always, if the videos on this channel have encouraged your Christian walk and edified you in any way whatsoever, but you have not subscribed to my channel yet and you want to, hit the button. If you want to leave any comments, please do so. But please don't be snarky. Please do not be profane. We want to be Christ-like in everything we say and do as Christians. And until we do another quick look, please remember this. When you read the Old Testament accounts of God elevating his man or his nation, remember it is always for the purposes of God. He does it for his purposes and his plans. We may reap the benefits of it, and we can't take advantage of that and think that we're special without God. King David knew that. King David knew he could do nothing without God. That's why if you read before verse 17, he inquired of the Lord if he was going to be able to win that battle or not. And God said, yep, go ahead, you're going to win the battle. And even today, we're not going to be able to win our battles without the Lord. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and God bless.